Hello, everyone. We're going to give it just a couple of minutes, let a few people jump on. It looks like attendees are jumping into the session right now. I'm Jacqueline Hurley. I'm with eAssist Dental Solutions. I'm glad you're here today to join us for our live webinar. The webinar today is called the Final Revenue Sprint, and it's all about maximizing profit before December 31st. We're well into our final quarter of 2025, and we know that these last few months can fly by, and we just want everyone to finish strong. So today's session is to help you uncover production and collection opportunities that are already right in front of you and to guide you through all of this. And we are so fortunate to have my good friend Debra Engelhardt-Nash with us today. I'm just going to share a little bit about who she is. If you have never heard her speak, then you are in for a treat. She's loaded with so much information. She is a founding member of the National Academy of Dental Management Consultants, ADMC. In fact, I missed you last week, Debra,
I
at
know.
ADMC. And she also has started, she's the founder, co-founder, her and her husband, Dr. Ross Nash, have co-founded the National Institute for Dental Learning in Huntersville, North Carolina. And it's just kind of a unique opportunity to take advantage of that institute between her husband teaching clinically, she teaches the practice business management side. It's really a unique opportunity to attend there. She's presented both nationally and internationally for so many leading dental organizations. I can't even begin to name them all. I don't even know if she could name them all. She's been
Probably not.
she's been honored as author of the year for her contributions to dental journals. Her insights and experience have helped countless dental teams transform their systems, their communication, and their profitability. She also is a member of our consultant network here at eAssist. So if you'd like to learn more about her, you can find her under consultants on dentalbilling.com. Debra, I am so thrilled to have you here today. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you. It's great to be here. And you're right. I was just speaking to a group last week in California about the time of year and what they should be doing for the last quarter, which we're heavily already into the last quarter,
Sure.
for to really to finish strong for 2025 headed into 2026. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. And I think that Jacqueline and I were talking about in terms of questions. If you have questions, I am going to do my very best to answer them as they appear. If not, then if you put your questions in the Q&A, if not, then I will actually, we're going to give a little bit of time at the end for conversation to answer any other questions you may have. And I hope that you have a piece of paper and a pencil. And it's interesting that, I'm not a statistician, and it was never my strong suit even in school, but it's really amazing when we're going to start talking about about numbers today, and about when we talk revenue cycle management, end of year. But I also think it's really important when we talk about all of this that we get the team involved in strategizing for our strength for the end of 2025 and moving into 2026. We can, and I think I was in a environment last weekend. I spoke at Glidewell in California, and they have an amazing program called the In-Office Experience. And I was doing a workshop with a group, and we were talking about strategies. We were talking about statistics and planning. And one office actually raised their hand and said, but we don't know any of our numbers. We don't know how we're doing, what we're doing. We basically show up. And I'm thinking, wow, one of the most important things about dental practices and dental teams is how much we work together and how much we thrive with collaboration. So I'm going to really emphasize that when you're looking at finishing strong for 2025 and moving into 2026, that we create a collaborative relationship. We create a collaboration of knowledge and groupthink and action planning. So I think once again we thrive on teamwork in dental offices. It's what we do. I just think we are just stronger together. I think that's important. So let's talk about, I mean, we can talk about what's going on in the world today, which is kind of interesting. I don't have any crystal balls about what's going to happen, but I know that there are, let's be candid. I think you may have right now, depending on your geography, depending where you are, that you might have some patients who are in a state of uncertainty. I amazed me. I was going through the airport uh, Sunday, and I said to the TSA agent, I said, "Are you still working without pay?" And he said, "Yes, we are." And I said, "Wow." So we still, we have a government shutdown. We have people feeling uncertain about that, uncertain about the economy. There's a prediction about what's happening with the stock market. So that could possibly bring some unrest to your patients in terms of future. And you can turn around and say, wow, our patients are nervous. So this might be also the time to use that to our advantage and say, you know what, we don't know what the future may hold. We don't know how your employer may or may not change your benefit structure. They may change your insurance allowances moving forward in order to save some expenses. So let's work with what we know now. Let's work with what we have now. So that might even be a forward thinking, a more progressive, optimistic strategy than a pessimistic strategy. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, about helping patients utilize the dental allowances they currently have. But here's what we have what's going on right now. I mean, once again, we could have fluctuating patient volumes. I'm not un, um, I'm not distanced from what I see on Facebook, where a lot of people saying, "Are you having a slow September? Are you having a hard time feeling October?" And I'm seeing on some of the Facebook groups that some people are saying, "Yes, we're having a hard time." Well, once again, I think there might be some variance in patient volumes. I think that could be a problem. I think insurance is plays a factor in many offices. There are insurance dependent practices. There are independent insurance dental practices. But once again, when we're looking at end of year and how to maximize our strategies for 2025, we really need to pay attention to what's happening in the insurance world for our patients. Once again, what do they have currently? What is their utilization? How often are they using it? And if they have any left, and what's going to happen in their dental insurance future. That for me is a key strategy, because we don't know what may or may or not happen in their employment, and what may or may not happen with their allowances and their benefits. So once again, we're going to take a look at a little bit about our revenue cycle and what we're doing, what's happening with what are we doing with industry challenges when we're looking at, can we maximize the time we are with our patients? Can we maximize our productivity? And can we minimize costs? Are we doing some really prudent shopping when we take a look at our overhead? Are we being uh, responsible about overhead expenses? And what are we doing? And there might even be an opportunity to be asking ourselves, is there an opportunity for doing some pre-buy for tax purposes? I'm not a CPA, and I'm not even going to pretend to be an accountant, but you may want to talk to your dental specific. I'm a big fan of dental specific CPAs. And wow, let's take a look at, are there some tax advantages for the dental practice that we should be looking at before the end of the year in terms of purchases, in terms of depreciation, amortization, that sort of thing. Once again, I barely know the accounting language, but I do know that sometimes there are major tax advantages when you make purchases before the end of the year. So that might be also some strategies to take a look at. I'm also going to suggest, if you haven't done it yet, this is pretty critical. It amazed me when I go into offices and I say, you should have already, if you haven't done this yet, you should be doing your strategic planning for 2026 in your fourth quarter of 2025. If you wait until January, it's too late. You've already started. You're already on a roll. You're already scheduling. You may or may not have increased your fees for the beginning of the year. I highly suggest not necessarily increasing them, but you should be reviewing your fees. I know that eAssist offers that service for you to do a fee adjudication, or a fee renewal, a fee review to see whether or not you are in line with the current fee schedules in your community. By the way, I also have to say that eAssist also has this great service that actually one of my clients took advantage of. Is are you actually utilizing the current codes? And one of my doctors was concerned because a lot of the codes that she was sending in were not getting covered by her plan. And man, they did a totally deep dive with my client and how they were utilizing insurance and how they were coding, how they were billing insurance, and found out that they were using codes that are now obsolete. So if you haven't done it lately, once again, you might want to take a look at before you jump into 2026. And eAssist is not paying me to tell you this. Actually, eAssist isn't paying me. So I can say whatever I would like. And I'm going to tell you that this was an amazing service that was done for my client when they realized that they were using obsolete code. So when was the last time you actually reviewed your codes and made sure that they were current? I think that was also something that you would take a look at before you jump into 2026. Make sure that your codes are current and you're utilizing them and using the right narratives. I know that eAssist offers coding with confidence for medical terminology and dental terminology. So if you are not availing yourself of those services, I would reach out to them in a most heartfelt way. I am not, once again, I receive no commissions, no finder's fees, no kickbacks or anything if you do that. But I would really take a look at, are you actually utilizing your insurance the right way? So they take a look at that. So part of your 2026 planning, strategic planning, you should be doing it now. If you haven't scheduled that yet, go ahead and get that scheduled between now and the end of the year. You can take a look at now, we're almost at the end of October, but you can do an average of your first 9 months and say, what did we do in the first 9 months? That could, I would consider that a trend. And then say, all right, let's divide that by 12. Here it seems to be that here's where we're on target to do XYZ based on our first 9 months. If you wait now till the end of October, which is almost here, then say, all right, what were our first 10 months? What did they look like? And here's a couple statistics that you should be looking at. You really need to know your numbers when you're looking at how are we moving forward? Because there's so many things you could do, but you need to know where will your best efforts be placed? Where should you put most of your effort in terms of your strategies? So let's take a look at these. Most of you already know some of these numbers that you should be tracking. A lot of dental software companies have some of this information. If you are not participating with a specific analytic company, something like a Dental Intel or a Practice by Numbers or your Practice Health or Blue IQ. I know that there's certain telephone communication systems that actually have that component in their program. So whether that be Addit or Weave, they actually also will run your numbers. Most dental software doesn't do a deep enough dive for me to really determine the health of the practice, the strength of the practice, and the direction they should be looking to grow. So we look at the top line on this production collection, new patients. That's pretty basic, and you can get those numbers from your dental software, absolutely. But then we want to take a little bit of deeper dive. We want to go down a little bit more into what's going on in the practice. So now, in addition to taking a look at what were your new patients for 2025, what was your attrition for 2025? So when we talk about attrition, we want to talk about, how many actual patients do you have and how many are active. So when we take a look at the definition of an active patient is someone who's seen you for at least one visit within the last 18 months. So if you tell me you have 3,600 patients, but maybe you didn't see 1,600 of them, you want to count how many patients did we see actually at least one time in the last 18 months, and that's what you would consider active. So then you want to get an idea of what was our attrition, how many patients did we lose for 2020 and 2025. Attrition is natural, it happens. There's all sorts of reasons why people leave your practice. Death is one of them, moving away. Uh, you know, you no longer accept their insurance and they are very dependent on that particular plan. That might be another reason. But you should be measuring your number of new patients against your attrition rate to really determine what was your growth. What was your growth for 2025? You may have seen a lot of new patients, but did you also lose some patients? I had a practice in Florida and they had a very high attrition for 2025. So when we look at their strategies for the end of the year, we've got to grow this practice. We've got to build it. We really have to reach out and do some social media, some strong marketing into the community to attract new patients into the practice because of the loss that they had for for various reasons. So one of the doctors left and hygienists left and kind of took their patients with them, and it was not a good thing. It was not pretty. So we take a look at that. Let me take a sip here. You also want to take a look at your recall return rate. How many active patients are getting back in? What percentage of your patients of record are back into your recare system? A couple of reasons for doing this. When you take a look at wanting to grow, experts will tell you that about 35 to 55%, and that's a wide range, and that's from different resources. Some will say it's 35%. Some people will say it's up to 55% of your accepted treatment is coming from patients of record, is coming from hygiene, the hygiene department. So I need to know that when I'm looking at 2025 and I'm really wanting to maximize that and I'm moving into my strategies for 2026, what is my capacity? Does this practice have the capacity to see at least 75 to 85% of my active patients of record? Do we have the capacity? There's my contact information is going to be at the end. If you want me to send you the how you figure that out, I'm happy to send that paperwork to you. Those statistics, I actually wrote an article about it. Happy to send that on to you if you need that. I can give that to you at the end of our session. You really need to know what is my recall return rate, because I want to take a look at, do I have the capacity to get more of my patients of record back in? And what could be my strategy? What could be my potential strategy if I don't have enough capacity, which means I don't have enough appointment times available for my active patients? An example, I was talking to a practice last week and I said, if you were to reach out to the patients who haven't been in, who have slipped out, have slipped through the cracks and they haven't been in for their hygiene appointment, and you're trying to get them back in before the end of the year, when can you schedule them? And their remark was, we don't have time to get them in before the end of the year. We don't have time until February. So here's the dilemma. Here's the dilemma when we're looking at the end of the year. If I only have the capacity to see 70% or lower, 60 some or 70% of my patients, and I'm trying to boost my productivity for the end of the year, I might want to take a look at what can I do to increase my availability for my patients who have missed their hygiene appointment. If I can't get them in, why am I bothering calling them, right? Why am I bothering calling them if I can't get them in? So I might want to allocate a dental assistant in for a hygiene assistant. So I might be able to add 4 or 5 more patients, 3 to 4 if I have 1 hygienist, 4 to 5 if I have 2 hygienists. Can I allocate a dental assistant to act as a hygiene assistant for this period of time, from until the end of the year, so we can actually increase our availability, our hygiene availability, to get our patients back into the practice? I know we could talk about, could we hire a temporary hygienist? If you could find one that you could hire, possibly you could get one in if you have the operatory available, but that you could do that. You can actually boost your capacity if you bring in a hygiene assistant or allocate one of your assistants to operate if you as a hygiene assistant to boost your capacity before the end of the year. So take a look at your recall return rate. Take a look at what additional treatment is being accepted in hygiene. That is a huge resource for more treatment in your practice. What additional treatment is being accepted in hygiene? Are we actually reaching out to our patients who have existing treatment plans, and are we having conversations with them when they're in their hygiene visit? Here is the magic question for a hygienist to ask a patient when they are when they're in their chair, in the hygiene chair, they're for their hygiene appointment, and the patient has treatment that has been previously determined but has yet to be scheduled. And oftentimes we make assumptions. Number one, I could go into this, I could do a whole hour on this. We make assumptions the patient isn't interested, they don't care. They don't have a high dental IQ. They're too old. They're too young. We have all kinds of reasons in our minds, sometimes in our minds, of why that patient doesn't want to appoint for those treatments, those restorations, the crowns that we previously planned. And sometimes in our minds, we say, you know what? She's not interested. She's not going to do it. And we don't really need to talk about it. And so then we kind of skim over the unscheduled treatment that has already been discussed but hasn't been completed. So the question to help you with those patients who are in hygiene, who have an unscheduled treatment unscheduled treatment plan, is to ask them. So you might say something like this if I were your patient. Debra, doctor and I were taking a look at your chart today, getting ready for today's appointment, and noticed that there has been treatment that has been previously planned that has yet to be completed. And then we pause and we ask the question, tell me what has prevented you from moving forward with your care. And let the patient tell you. And then we have to learn to how to overcome the objections that the patient may present at the time. How are you going to address the question of if they say, well, it's too expensive, or I'm afraid, or I don't have time, or the question that we all love, but it's not hurting me right now. So I think that's also a critical piece. I will also mention, and this is a little bit technology, and this might even go into my previous conversation about taxes and purchases prior to the end of the year. One of the ways that we can also help our patients understand and appreciate dentistry sometimes even more is by doing scanning. Are you scanning? Are you really utilizing all your technology? I'll just say this with everything. Are you utilizing all your technology with your patients? Are you utilizing scanning everybody? Are you utilizing scanning all your new patients? And are you scanning all your patients of record? Maybe you're picking and choosing right now, or maybe you're saying, wow, we don't have time to scan everybody, but we should be scanning everybody because it increases treatment acceptance. So I think that might be one of the things we might want to take a look at. It also helps the patient understand and appreciate why we're doing diagnostic radiographs and why we do diagnostics with them. Scanning sometimes is the first step on that. So what additional treatment is being diagnosed in hygiene currently? Could we increase that? Could we boost that up? Can we boost that up? You also want to take a look at what treatment is being diagnosed in your practice and what treatment is being accepted in your practice. So we take a look at, wow, is there a way we could boost our productivity in 2025 by maybe being a little bit more comprehensive in diagnosing treatment? I'm not suggesting to step out of your comfort zone. Well, I might be suggesting stepping out of your comfort zone. I'm not suggesting that you overtreat. You treat within what you consider to be a comprehensive plan. That is your opinion. Are we absolutely properly diagnosing, and are we thoroughly diagnosing everyone? Almost goes back to the hygiene situation. Are we making assumptions the patient doesn't want it, patient isn't interested, patient can't afford it? Or are we diagnosing based on what we think the most important needs are for our patient? We also want to take a look at our accepted treatment plans. What are we getting our patients to say yes to treatment? And maybe in 2025, in this last quarter, maybe what we should be looking at is, should we be changing our approach when we're talking to patients about the treatment that we're recommending? So that maybe a slight pivot or a slight change in our approach to talking to our patients about what we have to offer um, may may help that patient move forward with care. And once again, I mean, we could have conversations about what insurance will and will not do, and if they, you know, that they have maximized their insurance for the year, or haven't they maximized their insurance for the year. So take a look at your treatment acceptance rate. You also want to take a look at, for 2025, especially for 2025, take a look at your unscheduled treatment report. How much unscheduled treatment do we have with our patients of record? So once again, proposed treatment that has not been completed. And those would be the people that I would probably want to reach out to for getting them back into my practice. You also want to take a look at how many unscheduled active patients do you have. So once again, if we take a look at, we have these patients we've seen only once, and we have the active patients. How many of them are unscheduled that we could get back in? And then we want to determine our average value of patient. Could we bring that up for 2025? What can we do? How can we bring the patients back in? Now, here's something that I think is important to think about, and I'm going to kind of move up here. Oops, is I want to make sure that for you that you're actually using data-driven decisions that you're making when you're looking at your strategies for 2025 and 2026. You're taking a look at what are you gathering your data, and that's really important. So making sure that you are getting all of your information and say, okay, where should we best focus our efforts to grow our practice in 2025? And here's what's also a critical piece. You have to take a look at how much unscheduled time do you have left in the year. So how much unscheduled time, we won't even talk about, we could go back in if we were looking at going backwards and saying, let's take a look at how maybe we didn't meet our goals or we could have been more effective in 2025. One of the things we oftentimes look at is what kind of unscheduled time did we have? But take a look at how much unscheduled time do we currently have, and how can we maximize that? So I think it's critical to pay attention to what can we do about the unscheduled time, doctor time and hygiene time. Do we have unscheduled time? Once again, I'm going to go back and emphasize that if you don't have any time available for hygiene, then you might want to take a look at how can we open up hygiene to get more patients in before the end of the year. Is there a way to do that? Especially if I have a new patient, I mean, if we're looking at October and you can't get me in until mid-November, that could be a problem because I start losing my interest. So take a look at can we better utilize our time? So some other solutions, a couple of quick wins before the end of the year is once again promoting your patients who have HSA accounts, FSA accounts that might be expiring before December 31st. You may want to do a general call out to those patients. You may want to do some research. If you're gathering that information, that's important information to gather, by the way, who does and who does not have HSA and FSA benefits. I think that would be an important statistic for you to be able to determine and calculate in your practice. And here's a little hint for you: if you haven't done it, if you're not participating in an in-office membership plan, boy, that is something that I would jump on absolutely right away if you're not doing it yet. And here's what I just learned, and I actually talked to 3 companies that do provide in-office membership support for dental offices. My question, because I had a client in upstate New York who asked the question about utilizing HSA and FSA benefits to pay for their in-office membership plan. And the answer is yes. And probably some of you are saying, oh, Deborah, we already knew this. Thank you very much. Thanks, but we already knew that. But that might be also a great opportunity to reach out to your patients and say, one of our patients that really appreciate our in-office membership plan, and you can actually take care of that plan before December 31st, utilizing your HSA, FSA benefit. And to cover that plan. So if you are currently utilizing an in-office membership plan, reach out to those patients to say this might be a great time to renew your membership plan if if it's coming due before December 31st so that you can use your HSA FSA benefit to pay for the in-office membership plan. If you're not currently participating in an office membership plan for your patients, I highly recommend it. There's some great companies. Once again, I'm not financially affiliated with any one of them, but there are several excellent membership plan companies that can help you. You can reach out to me. My information, once again, will be at the end of the session, and I can direct you. And there would be three that I would direct you to for you to compare to see which one might be right for you. So take a look at, man, if we're not currently don't have an in-office membership plan, this would be a great time. And then when you implement that plan, then you can send out a notice to all of your patients, especially your non-insured patients will love an in-office membership plan, how it can save them money and it will bring them more to you. And it's a great way to market your practice. Once again, there's some other quick wins before year end. Same day add-ons. What are you doing to add on, whether that be whitening? You maybe are going to be offering some sort of whitening special. Maybe one of the things you might be offering is a holiday special for whitening. It would be a great gift for for the person who has everything. What could you do? Maybe give them a brighter smile. And there's some very cute little phrases about that. So maybe you're offering some sort of end of year or holiday a whitening special or smile makeovers or aesthetic care in terms of, once again, night guards, fluoride. I would also add, I'm not going to go into sleep stuff, but sleep study, or I would go into clear aligners, whatever system that might be, and take a look at that. Are we doing that? Are we offering? Are we being, are we being diligent about offering all of our services to all of our patients? Let me just say it that way. But once again, are there some things that we can do for same day? And by the way, speaking of same day, my gosh, sometimes what happens, let's go back to, I'm really hounding in. Didn't even mean to do this, but I'm really hounding in on this capacity situation. Let's say in hygiene, let's say that I'm due for hygiene. You don't have time to get me in, but I'm coming in today for restorative care. So today, I'm coming in for restorative care, and you might say, Debra, you are due for your hygiene appointment. I know we probably are going to get that scheduled for you in January. We see that you don't have an appointment yet. But let's go ahead and take your radiographs today and go ahead and do your recare exam today while you're here. So once again, sometimes we think it always has to be linked to the hygiene appointment, but it doesn't. It could be linked to today's appointment, which would increase your productivity for today. Let's go ahead and do your diagnostic, gather your diagnostic information today. We'll have doctor go ahead and do that recare exam today. So when you come back in, when you see the hygienist for your cleaning, that will already been taken care of. So that would be another way that you could add on same day treatment. If you are doing in-office crowns, if you're using any sort of system that's doing in-office crowns, that would be also another wonderful way of doing same-day treatment. Also, if you have a 3D printer, then that's another great way of taking care of night guards, mouth guards for kids, for sports kids during, if you're doing any sort of sleep apnea, that sort of thing, or sleep studies. So take a look at what can we do to impact today? What are some of the add-ons we could impact today? You might also want to take a look at how do we have any unscheduled time this week that we have to make sure that we can fill? And what are some of the ideas of how we can fill that? Are we using texting our patients who have unscheduled treatment or who have treatment? Are we using that? Are we reaching out to those patients and making sure that we are absolutely utilizing every hour? So I think it's really important, especially between now and some of you are thinking, are you kidding, Debra? We can't get anybody in because everybody wants to get in before the end of the year. So we have no time. What oftentimes happens is You might be slow right now or slower, or maybe you do have some unscheduled time right now. But then, of course, on December 12th, everybody's calling you because they want to get in before the end of the year to use their insurance. So this would be a great time to reach out to your patients now. And we could have probably shoulda. That's grammatically correct, I guess. We could have, should have maybe reached out to them in September to say, um, we would love to review with you, if you have insurance allowances that have not yet been used, we would love to review that treatment with you so that we can help you take care of that prior to the end of the year. I would have started that in September. Because people are going to start calling you in December and they want to get in, December 31st, and they want to go ahead and get all that, get that bridge done because they have insurance benefits that they want to utilize. So if you haven't done it yet, I would start that campaign about patients who have existing treatment, who potentially have a dental allowance that has yet to be used. I would start notifying them now, if you haven't done so already, to get them in. Once again, I know this slide says an unscheduled treatment blitz for the next 72 hours. I would adjust that comment now that I'm talking with you about. I would just take a look at, I can't believe I said the word just. That just stopped me because that's a word I would tell you all not to use. I would take a look at going through and saying, are you wanting to utilize your insurance allowance before the end of the year? Let's talk about your treatment now. Yeah, let's not wait till December. So once again, the reactivation of overdue hygiene patients, are we getting them in? Do we have the capacity to get them in? If not, we might want to either bring in a temporary assistant or reallocate one of our assistants into assisted hygiene for this period of time to get them in. So take a look at that. If we're taking a look at our collections in terms of end of the year, I find it interesting that when I'm speaking and when I'm working with offices who have an accounts receivable, oftentimes what I hear them say is that the money that's still owed them on the, in their accounts is the difference between what they estimated the insurance to pay, the co-payment, and then that sometimes there's a differential. We estimated the insurance was going to pay a certain amount of money. They didn't pay as much as we had estimated. We had already received the co-payment, or what we consider to be the co-payment, but now there's a balance, and now we need to collect the balance. So what are we doing about, are we really trying to clean up our accounts receivable before the end of the year? And I'm hoping that most of you who are listening are saying, yes, we do text to pay, so that the minute that insurance payment comes in, the minute we receive notice, the insurance payment has been made and that there is a slight balance, we send the patient a linked text, a text with a link for them to clear the underage, how much they owe us. So hopefully, if you haven't done that yet, I would take a look at your accounts receivable, and the question will be, how are we going to clear up, if there is any accounts receivable? For me, in today's world, I'll be candid. In today's world, I find accounts receivable, outstanding accounts receivable, to be very minimal. I don't have a whole lot of offices that have AR anymore. We've gotten pretty wise. We're using outside financing. We're collecting at time of care. We're collecting, the patient's estimated portion up front, and the only thing that might be left over in your accounts receivable might be that which we didn't estimate properly, or there was a differential in what we thought, what the portal said the portal said insurance would pay and what it actually paid. So take a look at how are you going to clean those up before the end of the year, and let your patients know that we'd like to take care of this, for you for before December 31st. And obviously we want to take care of it now. So take a look at your accounts receivable, and, do a text to pay blitz. If you have that, you can go ahead and download their and send them a link with their statement and get them and send the link for them to pay. So I think it's also important for us to remember, and I think once again, a lot of offices are already doing this. You're collecting at time of care. You're or oftentimes we're pre-collecting. And this might be something, and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, Deborah, this is really kind of a wild thought. And it is kind of a wild thought. But if you have a patient who's getting ready to start treatment in January, you might invite them to pre-collect. You might pre-collect in December for their treatment in January. I'm a big fan of pre-collecting prior to especially major appointments. Some offices I know require the patient to make an initial payment to hold that appointment time. I don't have a problem with that. It's how we word it that's important. Not we require a down payment, but many of our patients, in order to reserve their appointment time, we actually have you place a reservation fee. Might be one of your ways you mention it, but take a look at your possibility um, of pre-collecting. I'm going into my, yeah. Um, oh, so I'm jumping into a Q&A. You guys can't see it, but somebody's asking, do you have any recommendations for a text-to-pay company? If you're not using, yes, well, couple, but if you're not using, and I should probably get my phone and give you her information. If you are not using a communication system that does that for you, like a Weave or an Added or a Mango, then I'm going to tell you there is another company and it's called Pay Proudly. And let me get you her information since you're, um, of course, can I, I'm going to type an answer in for you. So it's Mandy, um, at Pay Proudly. And somebody else might have, .com. So, oops. Yeah. So, and they do offer a text to pay solution for you. So, and also, interestingly enough, they also offer an in-office membership plan, which is pretty cool. So take a look at that as well. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to answer questions when I can. Oh, you're welcome. I like that. Yeah. So tell Mandy I sent you. Yeah, it means nothing, but tell her I said hi. She is amazing. She's worked in the dental industry for a long time, and I will tell you that I saw this company at another dental meeting. I visited their exhibit at a meeting and was very uber super impressed with what they do. So you might want to take a look at Pay Proudly. Yeah, anybody else wants to do that. So take a look at that. Um, also, once again, I would say if you are really depending on where you sit for the end of the year, you might want to make sure if you have any unscheduled time now, I would really value that time, and I would block your doctor time for big cases. Once again, go back and say, do you have any big cases? That goes back to those statistics I was asking you to take a look at. Do you have any big cases that you're saying, wow, we really should be looking at getting these patients in, and how do we get them in? Once again, some great, I'm a big fan of language skills, communication skills. That's kind of my thing. So when you are calling a patient to get them in, uh, there's a, this is a strategy, but avoid saying things like, I was just calling to see if you'd like to schedule that appointment before the end of the year. There's magic when you say, doctor asked me to call you. So if I'm going to wanting to get a patient in for either hygiene or for doctor, I always throw the doctor under the bus, and I would say, this is Deborah from Cosmetic Dentistry of the Carolinas. Dr. Nash asked me to call you. He's had some time become available on November the 2nd, and he's asked me to hold that time for you and give you the first right of refusal of that time. So I'm always going to say, doctor asked me to call. He'd love to, they would love to get you in as soon as possible, or concerned about whatever that may be. So I would take a look at how much open time do we have between now and the end of the year? That would be an important strategy to take a look at. How much open time do we have? Once again, can I change? If I'm going back, I'm going to hold same day opportunities if I can do that. And what can I do to utilize them? I want to reduce cancellations and no shows. I'm a big fan. I mean, I understand that there are a whole lot of systems now where the patient receives a text and or we are calling. And when I'm calling, especially for new patients, when I'm gonna getting ready, I want to finesse that call a little bit better. So it's not just a cleaning. It's actually a disease control appointment. I'm not calling to verify, I'm not calling to confirm their appointment. For me, I'm not calling to confirm the appointment. I'm calling to verify the appointment time. So I would be calling, I might say, Jacqueline, this is Deborah from Dr. Smith's office. I'm calling to verify your appointment time for Tuesday at 10 a.m. We have everything ready for you. That time has been reserved exclusively for you. And we look forward to seeing you then. What questions can I answer for you about your appointment? If I have a new patients and I really want to get my new patients in, depending on the number of new patients, but I'm really wanting to grow my practice. I might be asking the doctor to make that call, and I maybe say, Sylvia, hi, this is Dr. Smith, and I want to let you know that I'm really looking forward to meeting you next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I see that that time has been reserved for you. Thank you so much for the privilege and the honor of having the opportunity to serve you. So you might want to take a look at that. Once again, if you haven't done it, this is almost an obsolete, almost could be potentially archaic for some of you. Have you designed what you consider a perfect day? Have you really taken a look at what would be a perfect day? And if you can do it now, between now and the end of the year, if you can make that happen, great. If you can do it for 2026, that goes back to that strategic planning. Can you can you start thinking about what is going to be your perfect days for 2026? They won't always be perfect, but if I don't have a plan, if I don't have something designed, then I'm likely to be reactive with my scheduling as opposed to proactive. I think people who are on this in taking the time to listen to this webinar on a Tuesday afternoon, it is Tuesday, right? Yes. Um, you're probably ahead of, you're already probably already doing that. Perfect day templates. Always have them. Critical, unscheduled treatment follow-up. Man, calling those patients. I mentioned that almost at the top of the hour. What is your protocol for calling the patients who have treatment that has been planned that has not yet been scheduled? And are we emphasizing, we're not calling and saying, I'm just calling to see if you're ready to schedule that appointment. Doctor asked me to call you, answer any questions you may have had about the treatment that was planned. And here's one of the things that I actually mentioned to my audience last week. I want, and all of you probably remember this, but one of the things that I like to tell the patient to sort of emphasize the reason why we follow up on unscheduled treatment is that once we have diagnosed you, we are obligated to remind you, to continue to inform you that you have incomplete treatment, that we have discovered a concern, or we have discovered disease or decay. We've discovered something that needs to be addressed, and we do have a professional obligation to keep you informed until that's taken care of. So it's our we're calling you because of our professional obligation and our personal commitment to our patients. So I think it goes back to, I'm not just calling to see if you're ready to schedule an appointment. I'm calling because I have an obligation to do so, a professional obligation, and a person, and we in our practice we have a personal commitment to do that as well. So I'm calling my new patients who came in and are thinking about it. So I'm calling and saying, what questions can I answer for you about this? And I think somebody might say, well, what if we've called the patient a number of times and they still haven't moved forward? Then it would be, my question to the patient would be, we called you several times and we will continue to call you and continue to inform you of what we have found and determine and continue to reassess that. But tell me what will work best for you. It goes back to that. But once again, letting the patient know we have an obligation to continue to follow up on this because we discovered a situation, whether it be dental disease, whether it be perio or decay, we have an obligation to continue to follow up until it's remediated, until it's been taken care of. So I think that's really critical for you to emphasize that you make those phone calls for unscheduled treatment. I'm going to tell you that I had an office in Boston, and we went back and looked at her unscheduled treatment plans, and she had 1.6 million million worth of unscheduled treatment in her records. And they were scrambling on getting new patients in and trying to work with new patients and getting new patients to move forward with care. And I said, what about the patients you already have? You have $1.6 million worth of incomplete treatment. What are you doing with that treatment? Really take a hard look at that. That's pretty important, pretty critical. Don't forget your recare. Once again, unscheduled treatment for patients of record. What is your capacity? What is your recall return rate? What are your statistics about treatment that's been diagnosed in hygiene and treatment that has been diagnosed in hygiene that has not been completed? So take a look at your hygiene. I think that's critical here at the end of the year as well. One of the reasons is that the patients who've been coming to see you have more trust in you. They already trust you. They already, hopefully, they already trust you. They already understand what it is you have to offer. So I think sometimes we need to step out of our comfort zone a little bit and reach out to those patients. So pay attention to that. So what's your strategy going to be for 2025 and 2026? What sort of social media strategy do you have? What are your opportunities for texting your patients? I think that's really taking a look at what sort of newsletter, if you're going to be incorporating an in-office membership plan, or you want to send out some sort of notice to your patients that you want to help them utilize their dental allowance before the end of the year. Let's call and review existing treatment that we have discussed with you that hasn't been completed, and let's talk about how we could utilize your insurance at the end of the year, for the end of the year. How can we utilize your HSA, FSA before the end of the year? What's going to be your strategy on how to reach out? Will you be doing that through email, through newsletter, through texting, through phone calls? Determine what that strategy will be on how you can bring those patients back into your practice. So, take a look at those strategies. How are you going to get those patients back in? Once again, you want to take a look at how much unscheduled time do we have between now and the end of the year in hygiene and in doctor time, and how can we best utilize it? How can we utilize that well? So, team training. Time to get together with your team. I'm going to kind of round up the time we spent together in terms of, do you have a strategic planning session with everybody? Once again, educate the team on the numbers and the brand. What are we standing for? Why are we doing this? What's our best strategy? I'm a huge fan of incentive plans and bonuses, and we do better. And this year, then we have more money that we can allocate to my team. I mean, raises, we get down to the nitty gritty. Raises are based, additional compensation is based on two things. And the first thing is, are we going to increase our productivity, our profitability? Are we going to increase our profitability in 2025? And if we do, the advantage is that I can give more to my team. I can give back to my team if I can increase my profit. So engage shoulder to shoulder. Do this together in terms of what, you may be smarter than me, but you're not as smart as my whole team. So get the team to start brainstorming and what can we do to really go out with some amazing numbers for 2025. I think it's also important for everybody to understand that, man, we all have the best interest of the team at heart, or the practice at heart, and we're going to help each other win. I think that's kind of a critical piece. So really maximize a team training session or a strategic planning session between now and 2026. If you've already scheduled your strategic planning session, but you didn't sit down and say, well, what are we going to do to maximize this last quarter? Do it now. Do it now. It's important. 90 minutes. Do it. You've got an hour to 90 minutes to do it. Take care of it. I told you that I would give you my information at the end. This is who I am. This is my crazy husband. This is my dog, who's been very, very quiet and very, very patient in this session. I'm so grateful to her for not barking. It's pretty amazing. I'm doing this from home right now. So if you have any questions about how you determine your recall return rate, you may reach out to me. If you have questions about the Nash Institute for Dental Learning and the courses that we provide there, happy to share that with you. I'm getting ready to start a What Would Debra Say membership subscription. So if that's something else you might be interested, I'd be lovely to chat with you. If any other questions or any other comments, happy to accept them. So big fan of eAssist. I always say that one of the things I really like about outsourcing paperwork is it keeps you involved in people work. So yes, this is one of those very first companies that I worked with that I said, this is a great way for the team to stay focused on the patient and then let and outsource those things that can be outsourced, the paperwork that can be outsourced and done well by other people. So thank you, eAssist. Love you and love you, Jacqueline Hurley. Thank you so much for this time.
Thanks, Deborah. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. You always bring so much insight, energy. You have a lot of energy. I feel like your presentation today is exactly what dental teams need this time of year. Not only did you help them with ideas for production, but you've helped them know what to say in so many daily conversations with patients. I hope they were taking notes. I hope they were writing things down. I feel like you're very straightforward and you tell people how it is. And I love that because I feel like there's no skirting around. If you'd like additional support in optimizing your collections, you can go to dentalbilling.com. And also, Debra has a couple of courses on our on-demand CE site, which is Dental Zing. If you want to go check those out, that would be amazing. dentalzing.com. And then one last thing before you go, please watch for a post, just kind of a quick post-webinar survey. There's just 2 questions. How would you rate the session? And what topics would you love to see in the future? Which this just really helps us make our sessions better and more relevant to your needs. Thank you again, Debra, for joining us. And thank you to all of you for being here today.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
You're welcome. We'll see ya.